Friends, good morning. It is good to be with you again this Monday, April the 27th. As we enter this new week, we are still in Eastertide, and today we are considering some of the stories after the resurrection accounts throughout the Gospels. And today we are going to consider the Great Commission from the Gospel of Matthew. But before we do, let us turn our hearts in song to our hymnal, to number 242, Day of Delight and Beauty Unbounded. Let us sing.
Day of delight and beauty unbounded, tell the news the gospel spread. Day of all wonder, day of all splendor, praise Christ risen from the dead. Sing of the sun from darkness appearing, sing of the seed from barren earth greening, sing of creation, alleluia. Sing of the stream from Jesus' side flowing, sing of the saints in water made holy, sing of salvation, alleluia. Day of delight and beauty unbounded, tell the news the gospel spread. Day of all wonder, day of all splendor, praise Christ risen from the dead. Sing now of mourning turned into dancing, sing now the mystery, hope of our glory, sing with thanksgiving, alleluia. Sing now of fasting turned into feasting, sing the Lord's favor lasting forever, sing all things living, alleluia.
And so we turn to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, starting in verse 16. Let us listen for the Gospel of the Lord. Now the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain to which Jesus had directed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him. But some doubted. And Jesus came and said to them, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always, to the end of the age. This is the gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. And so as we were considering the Great Commission today, a short story. The last church I served up in Lakewood, we had a very diverse group. Over half the congregation was made up of refugees from the border of Burma, and also called Myanmar and Thailand. And this people group are called the Karen, and in the last few decades, last several decades, they have been persecuted by the majority people group there in Burma, and ultimately have settled, many of them, in Thailand in challenging conditions. After many years appealing to the United Nations High Council for Refugees, the Karen people and other groups of Burma have been resettled all throughout the world. And Cleveland has many hundreds of Karen folk. So about 200 years, a little over 200 years ago, a man by the name of Adoniram Judson knew the story of Jesus and heard the call to missions work. And he was called to Burma, where he thought he was only going to the Burmese people. But the beauty of the story is that initially the Burmese were not receptive to the gospel, but the Spirit surprised him, as the Spirit does. And it was the Karen people who came to be hungry for the gospel, because long, long ago in the Karen culture, there was a legend of these brothers at the beginning of the world. And each brother was given a book with the words of life. Well, the brother, the patriarch of the Karen people, had lost this book. And the story went that a white brother from a faraway land would one day bring back the words, the golden words of life in a golden book. And sure enough, Adoniram Judson and missionaries of that era probably carried a book with gold edges to the pages. And so when the Karen people saw the book, they knew that that book had words of life. And so many of the Karen for hundreds of years have been Christians. So we thank God that the Spirit was at work far before Adoniram Judson ever set foot in Burma. And when I was serving at the church in Lakewood, I served as an associate pastor over intercultural ministries, music, and youth. And in that role, I sang a lot in Karen. And so this song today is Jesus, I Come. And this is one of those retuned hymns that we've talked about before. But the text is old, and the Karen have a hymnal in their language. So playing around a little bit, I arranged and pulled this song together. And so this is Jesus, I Come. Out of my bondage, sorrow, and night, Jesus, I come, Jesus, I come, into thy freedom, gladness, and light. Jesus, I come to thee. Out of my sickness, into thy health, out of my wanting, and into thy wealth, out of my sin, and into thyself. Jesus, I come to thee. Puple legutha udotaki, Yeshu Yehe, Yeshu Yehe, Sutatha bletha kuta gepo, Sa Yeshu Yehe. Pupleta sao sulerne pu, Pupleta po tu tolerne mu, Pupleta de ba ulerne pu, Sa Yeshu Yehe. Out of my shameful failure and loss, Jesus, I come, Jesus, I come, into the glorious gain of thy cross. Jesus, I come to thee. Out of her sorrows into thy balm, out of life's storms and into thy calm, out of distress into jubilant psalm. Jesus, I come to thee. Sa Yeshu Yehe. Jesus, I come to thee. And so, friends, the invitation to come to the Lord with all that burdens us is always there. We just have to know that we are one of the Lord's children. Just as we can go to a parent in time of need, so is the Lord always available. And so in this time when we may feel afraid, when we may be struggling to figure out what today holds, know that we don't have to hold on to anything, hold back from the Lord. That is not what he wants. But instead, we can take all of our anxieties, all of our burdens, all of our fears to the Lord and say, Lord, I am broken. And Jesus will come, and Jesus will heal and be present with us, not necessarily fixing us today, Not necessarily tomorrow or next week or next month. We don't know. But the most amazing thing that the Lord promises is his presence with us. And so let us go forth reminded that God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit surrounds each one of us. Amen.